Welcome back to Exploring Whiskies. I'm Eric.
I'm Kevin, and today we're going to do a review of our August Whiskey Club meeting.
The 615 Whiskey Club.
Yes, we have an official name. Yes, we finally voted and got an official name. We are the 615 Whiskey Club. Logo to be determined, but TBD. This was kind of an interesting one. This was, it's August, it's still the summertime and all that kind of. The idea, they were poking around, and the team that kind of put together this particular meeting found an article from an old Whiskey Advocate article that was written about pairing whiskeys with sausages. The fact that like the emulsified fats that's in the sausage and some of the spice, and kind of going for like higher rye whiskeys or ryes themselves. So that was kind of what they did. They really worked through trying to match certain types of sausage with certain types of whiskeys, which I thought was it's a good experiment. One did not work. I remember one sausage tasting not right, whatever it was. But I do remember one, and I can't remember exactly which one it was, where when you drank the whiskey, tasted the sausage, and then drank the whiskey again, it changed it. It was for the better. Like it was like a really cool impact there.
Well, it's interesting because when we went to Rabbit Hole, Adam was talking about this. That's the thing to do now is pairing
foods.
Pairing just foods with whiskeys, not sausages in particular. But you start thinking about that more. It's just nice that those guys.
Yeah, they started down that theme, and I could see that making sense. So the first whiskey we're going to do, and I don't remember if it's the exact order that they did them with the sausages, but we're just going to do by proof because generally speaking, that's just an easier way to do, is the Leiper's Fork Bottle and Bond. Yep. We've already done the Leiper's Fork Bottle and Bond. We did it in the July meeting. We actually had the Leiper's Fork Bottle and Bond. There was something specific about that. And I don't remember if it was a mash bill thing, heavy corn. Oh, it's a wheat. They were going for something. There was something specific about this one that the reason why they picked it. I think it's because it's a wheated whiskey. Well,
the one that we did was their juice, because before Leiper's Fork was sourcing it. So I don't know is this theirs or is it sourced?
For your post, I don't know the answer to that one. We can look at the back of the bottle.
I do remember that because that was because we got it from the distillery.
Right.
So given it's a wheater.
DSP TN.
Okay.
I'm saying that it was distilled here.
Okay.
But you got to figure this is going to be something maybe a little bit, it should be a little smoother, a little sweeter, less of a rye bite. So I'm going to say it probably was paired with something that has less spice to it.
Yeah.
You get a little tinge of the ethanol on the nose. Outside of that,
it's kind of like a chocolate note.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a chocolate note and some sweet notes. Actually, it's
almost
really nice
nose. Like the chocolate you only use for baking, like that bitter.
The bitter chocolate? Yeah.
I get the same on the palate.
Yeah, and there's a chocolate, but there's a more sweet on the palate than there was coming off the nose. And there's a little bit of it's not rye, but there's a little like spice, right? Like that hits the top of your palate. I don't know what that one is exactly. There's like a baking spice of some sort. So this is a bottle and bond. We've gone through that, so we know it's 4 years, single run, all that kind of fun stuff. Bottled at 100 proof. It's 70% corn, 15% rye. No, this one's a wheat. 15% wheat, 15% malted barley. I do think the one that we did was a rye mash bill for the July meeting. So there is a difference there.
Yep.
So there is this is a wheater versus that was a rye-based whiskey. It's not bad. It's not cheap. It's artisanal. I think it falls into that category of artisanal where they're doing smaller runs, so they don't have the economies of scales that some of the bigger guys have.
But all their grain they get's local. I think some of it's actually on property.
Okay.
Or close to it.
I don't know. That's interesting. Leiper's Fork's not all too far from here. Just, runs a little south of this area. Overall, I mean, it's a solid whiskey. It's nice. I have to assume their distribution's probably Tennessee. I don't think that, my guess is they're not a huge distribution area.
Oof, that corn. There's an aftertaste.
Like a dusty corn type thing?
Not that blue hatcher corn.
Blue butcher, yeah, the bloody butcher.
The bloody butcher, whatever it's called. Not like that. I mean, it trends that direction. There's a
lot of baking spice in the, if you roll it around, there's a lot of baking spice that comes through. Some sweet notes, like fruity of some sort. There's a little bit of a fruity note. I'm not getting a bad. I'm not getting a bad in that. There's a lot of fruit notes that come through on this. Whatever is turning you wrong, I'm not necessarily getting that in anything that on my nose or nose, palate, or finish. The baking spice is a little odd because of there's so much chocolate and fruit note. Yeah, then the baking spice comes through.
I'm getting the chocolate.
Oh, there's definitely fruit. I'm getting.
The aftertaste is a little like a fruit sweetness, but I don't know. I always want to default to a cherry.
Yeah, a stone fruit of some sort, right? Yeah. It's not like an apple or anything that we've gotten in other ones.
Not an apple.
It's not that, but a cherry I get it on the palate. It's a little sweeter, more like a mixed berry bowl. But the nose is more cherry. Yeah, I'd go with that. Yeah. Stone fruit. $80, probably
too expensive.
A little heavy.
$60.
Yeah, ish. I mean, there's other bottled and bonds that are as good and.
I made the comment before, and I'm sure I made it on the show. It's just like when you're newer, and you're now finally getting around to your own product. I mean, maybe they're trying to make up some of their investment there, but still, I think that introduction to your own juice at $80 is pretty.
It's steep, but I have no idea what their cost structure looks like. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when you do switch over, you have a lot of sunk cost of the stills and, all the mashing and all the heat and everything that goes into it. It's probably not a cheap endeavor. I could see maybe, at some point they should be able to up their production to the point where maybe the price can come down a little bit. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they're doing a little bit. They're making up some for lost time.
I mean, I have not been down there. Leiper's. Well, I've been in the area. I've never been in the distillery. The area is awesome. There's a lot of
historic stuff, right?
Well, but you got a lot of
small town.
Some of the country music stars because it's
right. They're all down in that.
It's roughly
Thompson Station, Leiper's
40-ish minutes away from downtown Nashville.
Yeah.
A lot of big farms down there. It's a great area. Just haven't made it to the distillery yet. Come to find out, everything in that town closed on Mondays. So don't go down there then.
Okay, that's good to know. I don't have anything wrong with that one. I think that tastes pretty solid. Not worth the $80, but it's a really good bottle. If you want to splurge and support a local distillery, go for it. Okay.
Next up.
So again, going by proof, is Redemption. Let's see. What I know about Redemption is it's sourced. It's MGP.
But it's their lowest rye.
Their lowest rye, which is 21%. MGP really likes their rye. I did not realize how much that is. It is a 9-year bourbon, which is kind of an interesting thing there. And you're, 105.7, 106.7, something like that, proof. Can't quite read it.
Where's the bottle? The bottle's got the air bubbles.
Yeah, I got the little air bubbles,
I like the shape of the bottle.
I like, little decant, kind of a flask, but a little bit hefty.
Like the flask like my dad had, where it had the leather covering. It was that shape,
Yeah, kind of that idea. It's an interesting It's interesting. That's I don't know. I don't have too much.
Doesn't High West do that with their glass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that
Yep.
like the Prairie one has that. Like it's kind of looks a little bit more antique.
Yeah.
But then again, you can see the seam, and yeah, it's probably not like blown glass, which is what that makes me think of when you see little bubbles is blown glass. But yeah, so mash bill, 21% rye, 75% corn. So still pretty heavy corn for even the amount of rye that they're putting into this whiskey. And now that we're definitely cracking the 100, might want to throw a drop of water in here.
I like the nose on this one much better. Yes.
Okay. Now I can't even say why they particularly picked this one. I don't really remember. But 9 year, should get a little bit more oaky notes. I mean, it's got an age to it.
The nose, to me, is a little sweeter.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that it's sweeter because I get a lot of the fruit notes, but I get more of the age notes. So the oak, the leather, the tobacco is there with a lot of sweet notes around it. Not getting overly spicy or anything, even though it is 21% rye. It is non-chill filter, natural color, all that happy crap.
The initial hits the tongue. I think it's initially sweet. Then it goes to that rye spice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the back of the throat is all rye, baking, little peppery even spice. And a nice warmth.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's a nice drink. Now, I'm again going to say, probably not worth the price. It's a $100 bottle.
No.
105.7 proof. It's good. Don't get me wrong. But $100 just, I don't know. Like,
I would pay probably what you would pay for the Leiper's fork.
yeah, 80-ish.
75,
80-ish makes sense.
75, 80-ish.
Well, so, and I read that article, and I think I brought that up here before. If it's sourced, you should pay around $10 a year. 9-year-old bourbon, $90.
Okay.
So maybe it's not that far off. Can you get this for 100? I don't even know. But so maybe 100's not that far off. I like that there's a little bit more body to, this sounds weird, body to the nose. There's a couple different layers. There's some sweet notes. There's like the age notes of like the oak and the leather and those kind of notes, tobacco notes. There's a little bit more depth, and there's a little bit more of a oily body. Like it hangs. It's got a hang to it. I like that.
Ooh, I did the nosing from the top down.
Yeah.
I mean, all ethanol up top, and then get to that. Then it's just like all leather at the bottom.
With like a really, I don't know how you make leather sweet, but a really sweet leather is what it kind of smells like to me. There's so much more body to that.
Yeah.
I don't know the difference between the 9-year, the fact that it's not filtered or it's not proofed down at all versus the 100 proof is proofed down a little bit.
Before we drink all
Good
that,
point.
let's
Good point.
Do some
Yep.
water. Let's see how much this changes.
I'm kind of hoping some of the sweeter notes just amp up a touch.
I'm thinking some things are going to get muted.
Well, I can't say that ethanol is aggressive.
No.
So I can't say that that's
There's
it.
no like real burn. Again,
No.
there's a little bit of warmth. But
Warmth, not a
burn.
real hub. And no burn in the back of the throat.
I get just all ethanol now.
Yeah, why is that? All right, give that a couple seconds.
I don't get the leather anymore. I just get the ethanol. Even going from top down.
Yeah, it's really like off-gassing. A lot of ethanol. Sometimes I make up scientific things. It didn't hurt the palate.
It dries out quicker though.
The oak comes forward.
Yep.
I'm there with you on that one. But it's still really oily. It's still kind of like it sits there, but
I just get a lot of rye.
Oh, I'm not getting the heavy rye.
I am.
Really? That is very different. Wow.
Let's see if it's power suggestion now.
Well, I will say the nose, you say the ethanol came up.
Yep.
Is it the rye? I wonder if it's more of a baking spice, like the really spicy rye note that you get from MGP a lot, that really spicy rye.
Yep.
I wonder if that's a little bit more of what's coming up, but I didn't get it all that much in the palate. A lot of rye came through at the end of that. It's not in the beginning. The beginning's a little more muted now, not in a good way. And then there's a lot of the rye spice comes up, and I'm actually getting like more warmth. I don't even know how that's possible with adding water, but I get a little bit more warmth in the top of the chest.
There's a small burn in the back for me.
I didn't get like a burn, but I got way more warmth coming through the chest of this.
I like this better without the water.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I totally agree that without the water, it had a little bit more complexity, a little bit more, like it was a little oily, like viscous. It had a better body to it.
I feel like it was more balanced.
It was more balanced. That's a very good point. Live and learn, right?
Overall, I mean, I think it's a good bottle.
It's a good bottle.
But again, I mean, to your point, $10 a year. Yeah. So
I don't know.
I wouldn't pay $100 for it.
No,
The club did, but
right, and that's the whole point of the club is to try something. Maybe you find something.
But it's nice because we get to do all.
We've had some really cheap ones. We've had some really, really expensive ones.
Yeah.
And figuring out what is good. We've done more and more blinds through the meetings. And when you do it totally blind, you'd be surprised how you discount names and age statements and things like that and just go, wow, that's really good.
Yeah, no, the water, I get more rye.
Yeah.
Slightly more heat, and it dries up quicker.
Yes, I agree with all those statements. It was better, neat. Right.
Nassif Family Reserve. This one.
Don't know anything about this one. Never heard of it before. I've seen it, but I don't know anything about it. Actually, pause. We're going to take a step back. And one, we'll thank everybody who donated in September for St. Jude. We ended up raising $225.
Okay.
Our goal was $500, but we got $225. We matched that, so $450 went to St. Jude for September, which is Childhood Cancer Awareness. Yeah, that's right. Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. That's what that is.
Well, we appreciate everyone's support. Like you
Yes.
said, every little bit counts.
Absolutely, definitely. That's kind of the whole point. That's the reason why there's yellow in this. All right, back to this. So I know this is Cat's Eye Distillery. I want to say they have a couple different whiskeys. This is one particular line of whiskeys that they do that one of the co-founders, he decided to do it.
I feel like the story is that he wanted to create a whiskey that his entire family could enjoy.
Okay.
And he found the recipe that he liked, and I want to say it was before he got married, so was it served at his wedding?
Ooh, I don't know.
I think that's
one.
the backstory on this one.
Okay.
So
now the interesting part, and we'll call it slightly weird, this is an American whiskey, and there's a reason why it's not called bourbon, rye, or anything like that. It is 50% light whiskey, 14-year-old light whiskey.
light whiskey. I've never heard that term.
When bourbon and rye started to go down in popularity, 80s to 90s, vodkas really became popular,
Yeah.
gins really became popular, clear liquors. The whiskey community, whatever, they tried to come up with something that was, so it's higher proof, easier to mix, and all those kind of things. So that's kind of what light whiskey came down to be.
So younger.
This is 14-year-old
No, I know,
light
but
whiskey.
the idea of a light whiskey, is it just younger?
No, it's a higher, it's more pure.
Okay.
That more pure alcohol is kind of how it's laid out. It doesn't have to hit I'm trying to think For most whiskeys, it can't be distilled past 160, 150, 160, something like that. And it can only be barreled at 125 or below.
Right.
Light whiskey takes all of that up a touch. So it can be distilled a little bit more pure, and it can be barreled a little higher proof.
Okay.
And then proof down if you wanted to.
I've never heard that.
So this is 14-year-old light whiskey, MGP,
Yeah.
and let's call it a 4-ish-year-old bourye. So it's a bourbon rye, like it's heavy bourbon. It's heavy corn, heavy rye. So instead of it being, it doesn't actually qualify for either one, but both of them are higher
They
percentages.
made their own classification.
Yes. Somebody else has the High West has a bourye.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. Technically, it doesn't legally. I don't think it legally does anything. It becomes an American whiskey, is what a bourye is, because it's not 51% of anything. Whatever.
All right.
But they're taking a really high light corn. Oh, you got a little heavy on your side. Thank you, sir.
No, I get too heavy on it. It's all right. There you go.
Yeah, none of the bottles are 100% empty. I don't really understand, but I'm not upset that
At least we have the bottles.
we have the bottles. The next
Not just the handshake that has the...
The next whiskey club will not have the actual bottles from the whiskey club meeting, but whatever. What are you going to do?
Oof, this is rye out of the gate.
Yeah.
For me,
Oh, yeah. That's a bunch of herbally, rye, dill,
yeah, a lot of dill.
all that stuff that I don't like with MGB. Sorry, MGB.
They make a lot of good juice. It's just the rye, just for
Some of it, there's something about that rye that goes...
Not all of it.
Not all of them, but
The ones that are higher, the 95.5 is not our...
go into that dill weird... it's not our bag. Yeah, all I'm getting off the nose, a little bit of ethanol, 107 proof, okay, and a lot of rye notes.
Yeah, I get the same on the palate. It's really spicy up front.
Yeah, there's a lot of baking spices all across the top of your palate. There is a corn sweetness someplace in there, but there's so much more of a rye note that comes through that. I was not expecting that from the light whiskey side.
I don't mind this one.
Good, because
Yeah.
this is $40.
Yeah.
This is way more in line with, well, there's no age statement specifically. Technically, we know it's a blend of a 14-year-old and almost a 4-year. So technically, they could say that they're 3 years and 10 months. But I just would have thought 14-year-old light whiskey would have more of an impact there. Yeah, there's a lot of rye notes on the nose.
So they're saying here, provides notes of vanilla, coconut, and toffee. I don't get any of those.
Coconut? Toffee? No.
Nope. To that, we add high rye,
Yeah, you do.
bourbon, and rye whiskeys. Those whiskeys add notes of spices, fresh oak, spearmint, dark fruit,
That
caramel,
I can see.
and citrus.
Not getting citrus off the top of this. The spearmint, actually, that minty note, definitely get the minty note.
Maybe the oak.
Yeah, there's a touch of oak that's in there
I
too.
don't get any of the dark fruit, caramel, or citrus.
I'm not getting a lot of sweet notes at all. Like
I
any
don't get
fruit
any
or
coconut or vanilla or
No.
toffee either.
sweet coconut. Where do you get coconut?
I don't know.
The bourye is a 36% rye bourbon.
Okay.
It's a pretty heavy
Yeah.
rye bourbon.
Coming through.
And some of their 95.5. So it's a blend of that. That's 50% of it. And then it's 50% light whiskey. It's
I
good.
would expect that out of what we're going to do next. The RY3.
Yeah, yes, and no, in a weird way, because they do the finishing in the rum cask, which is totally changes the profile.
But by the name.
Yeah, yes.
By the name.
This is pretty rye forward.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Hit me some water.
All right. Oh, you All right, you really did not. Either you drank a lot or you...
You got just a smidge more than I did. Nose is slightly muted.
That fast?
The ethanol, yeah.
Wow. You didn't even...
The rye, you still get the rye.
That's all I get. It's just rye spice.
Yeah.
The ethanol, yeah. The ethanol is muted, but it's rye spice. Palate's a little better. I got a sweet note in the very beginning of that.
Yeah.
And not as spicy in the back of the throat.
No, I don't get any spice.
That's actually a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say 107 proof, $40. It's not a bad mixer. Mm-mm. I could see that making some good cocktails. I could see that blending fine into whatever, a Coke or something.
Bettendorf, Iowa.
Iowa? That's where they're located?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
There is
all their sourcing is, I want to say all their sourcing is MGP. It doesn't say anything about Indiana in there?
It just says bottled.
Okay.
Well, it says distilled in Indiana, but bottled.
Okay.
But Iowa.
Bettendorf, Iowa.
I mean, you think there's a lot of corn there.
There is
probably a lot of wheat there too.
Yeah, there's a lot of grains.
No, I'd like this one with water. The last one we did, I did not like with water.
Yeah, I took a bigger pull. It's still there. That dill, the spearmint, on a bigger pull, it's still there. It's muted down a touch. It is much nicer this way. No question about that. I think the nose is nicer. The palate's nicer.
Yeah, it's
nicer with the water.
It's smoother.
Yeah. That little bit of water really made everything about that whiskey.
We need an episode with a chemist or a sommelier, so they can
explain why, what it's bringing over and why.
I have a guy I went to high school with that lives here that is a sommelier. You need to reach out to him. Get him on the show.
Yeah, is wine the same?
I bet he can
the chemical compounds?
I bet he can pick up the notes that we can't.
That's possibly true. Yeah. Overall, it's not a bad whiskey. It's different, but it's pretty rye forward, and it's the rye notes that aren't really in our wheelhouse, or definitely not in my wheelhouse.
The last pull was stronger than the very first pull, but the ones in between.
Yeah. Not bad. Not great.
But for the money?
I'm going to say, if I recall correctly.
There's your Manhattan.
Yeah, that'd be a good Manhattan. And if I recall correctly, that one was the one that was matched up with the spiciest sausage.
I think you're right.
Which now that makes sense. Like you put a really spicy sausage in with a pretty heavy rye note. They kind of blend together well. All right, Rye 3. We did Rye 3, our first whiskey club of 2021. We did a regular Rye 3. This is the Cask Strength Private Reserve is what they call that one. So that's what this particular whiskey is. You're going to just go it in there, all right?
Oh, we're not going to throw it away.
Nope, no we're not. All right. Nope. There we go.
We need to start doing one handshake for each of us.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe the president could put that in the bylaws.
Yeah, I need to talk to him.
You need to talk to that guy. I don't know why I'm trying to put that away. Anyway, so Rye 3 is MGP rye. But the company's actually known for their rums. They have some aged rums. I think they have a 12 and a 15-year-old, 10 and a 15-year-old rum. So they age their rums pretty materially. Well, they're taking, and the reason why it's Rye 3, not just rye, or I don't even know. I don't know. RY3. Do you say RY3 or do you say Rye 3 or do you say rye?
Rye 3.
Okay.
But I can see what they're going for there, though.
Yes. So the point is the rye is coming from 3 different places. So they have some Canadian in here, they have MGP in here, and somebody else.
Another American.
Somebody else. But they are based out of Virginia.
Beach.
Virginia Beach, Virginia. So that's what they're doing. They're taking 3 different ryes, blending them together, and then they're aging them in their rum casks. I remember it being an interesting rye. In the one that
there was a lot of hype
we did
when the RY3 hit here.
They advertised a lot. They had a really good marketing campaign when they first came out.
Well, our favorite liquor store, it was pumped on Instagram.
Didn't they do a store pick?
They might have, but I know that it hit their Instagram feed
Hard.
Yep.
If I recall correctly, this was pretty interesting. That is very different than that. Very different than that.
Well, the proof is also...
Oh, yeah. A little healthier. A little healthier.
122.
Yes. We got some ethanol in here, and it's not... I mean, it's there, but it's not crazy.
I think the ethanol is
overpowers?
Overpowers everything else.
How is that? That is so weird. If you go up, I get more of a rum impact. If you go down, I get a really strong ethanol impact.
The only other, reminds me of the Angel's Envy.
I've never had that one, and you gave away the one bottle you had.
No, I've had two, and I gave away the second one because I didn't like the first one.
That is rye, and there's like a kind of a tropical fruit note, like a rum. Like I get the rum impact, but it's rye.
I get the sweetness on the front.
Yeah.
I get the rye.
Baking spice and spice notes. A little herbal.
I get the ethanol.
But I don't get a dill.
I don't get a dill, and then it kind of goes back to sweet. That's kind of I get the rainbow.
Maybe a little bit of a spearmint mint note in there. Not sure. But the nose is
definitely multiple phases of that one across the palate.
Well, I mean,
Sweet,
at 122,
spicy.
It's not being proofed down. This is probably the unfiltered, it's not being touched outside of from barrel to bottle. I get a lot more mint on the nose now, like some kind of a spearmint, peppermint. I can never tell what the difference between those two is, but I'm going to say more spearmint note. There's a sweet rum note in the very beginning, and then it gets all rye, spice, warmth. Well, the 122 proof probably helps the warmth side of that too. And it finishes a little minty. Got a decent body to it.
The burn tingle for
me
lasts. It lasts on the outside of the tongue.
Yes, there's an antiseptic. Is that the right? I can never remember what that's called.
You keep trying to. And it
still tingles like right on the outside. Yes. Yeah. Yep, I get that. All right. 122. Let's see what water does. Interested on this one, actually.
It's just more of the rye note, but a softer.
It's softer. The mint, that spearmint note's still there.
But towards the end, if you go top to bottom, you get that mint at the very end.
Yeah.
Ooh, is that mint strong now?
It's just funny it's not the dill note. Like
the spray paint.
The rye that's coming off of that Nassif one was so more of a dill note. This has so much more of a mint note. All right, I got a little more dill on the palate comes through. I do get a little dill. A lot of mint. There's some kind of a sweetness in there. Maybe a brown sugar.
The rye is so much stronger now.
It's so much stronger. It really is.
There's the burn.
All the herbals.
There's no tingle on the side.
No, it's just
all in the
spice,
back.
baking spice that hits the back of your. Yeah, absolutely.
All in the back.
I like the nose better with the water. I'm not sure I like the palate better with the water. I'm going to let it breathe a little touch.
I could go either.
Yeah.
I go either way with the water.
So the interesting part for RY3. So they started with their rums. They did all that thing. They then grabbed Matt Witzig, is what I'm going to say his name is, from the guy that kind of started Joseph Magnus, which is the same kind of idea. They take sourced whiskey and then finish it in different barrels and things like that. Like that's what Joseph Magnus and what Murray Hill is the other one that I think is they're together. I think that's the two that are together. The cigar malt, all that kind of things. Then, so there he came in and helped work through this with RY3. So it does make sense. The focus is on the finishing. I think there was more rum notes off the regular RY3 because it was proofed down a little bit more. This seems to have way more of the rye notes coming through strong.
Well, you definitely get more of the sweetness in the rum without the water, for me.
Yeah, yeah.
It is a little, I'm going to say harsher. Again, I can go either way. I'm enjoying with the water, but I think it's much sweeter, smoother, I guess is probably what I should say.
I liked it neat. I'm going to say I liked it neat.
Smoother without the water.
The nose is a touch. I like the nose is more interesting with the water. I'm not sure how or why. Maybe it's just the ethanol isn't as aggressive. The palate was not, I don't think it improves.
Depends on which way you lean.
Absolutely.
We know which way you lean.
This is always my opinion. He shares his opinion. You might have a different palate.
We're like
you might prefer different things.
That book, the Mike and Susan.
Yeah, you know, you might have a totally different palate and be a huge fan of ryes and.
No, I mean, I think overall the meeting was great.
Yeah, it was very good. It was interesting pairing the food. I thought that was really fun.
The sausages are great. All of them are.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, the one was a little like fishy or something. It was weird. All right, now let's go to the traditional rankings. All right, bring them all out. All right, since this time I'm the one that bringing them out, you get to do the first ranking.
Okay.
I'm trying to like stack them up. So, all right. What is, how do you want to do this? You want to do number 4 or you want to do number 1 first?
No, I'll go number 1.
Number 1.
I really enjoyed that one.
Oh, okay. So
That's
a sourced MGP, 9-year-old.
That's 1. This is
very
4.
Nice. Really? Yeah. Wow, that's really? Okay.
These two are kind of a toss-up for me. But again, I can go either way with or without water, but I'd go that way.
Now, why? Can I ask that one on that one?
There is just a note that
you did. Yeah, you were saying the Bloody Butcher, like weird artisanal. You got a little artisanal off that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm not an artisanal fan, but I like the one. No offense to the guys that hosted the meeting, but
the rye one.
I like
the
one. Yeah, I like that one better.
See, now here's the funny part. That's my ranking.
Yeah.
That's the way I like that one. That is the best. That's the best whiskey out of this lineup.
Yep.
The age is nice. The layers of it, the age is there. The sweetness is there. I really enjoyed this. It's overpriced as all hell, but I really enjoyed the chocolate notes in this one, the sweetness that came through in this one. That neat was way better. That, I could take or leave. That's basically where I come down. So this is kind of the way I would roll. The fact, that's the fact that you said, and I agree. I mean, those are interchangeable, depends. But the fact that I'd put that as number 2, you put that as last.
I didn't.
That's interesting.
There's just that note of the.
I say artisanal, but it's usually that ends up being a piney or grassy type thing, hay type note.
I think for me, most of the time when it comes to an artisanal, is that they're rushing it. It's not. They're not.
Well, that's 4-year-old. That's
I know.
a bottle of
I know, but I think for the ones we've done up to
they're a little younger. They do trend younger.
They're too young.
Yep.
They're trying to rush it to market to get their name out there. If they would have just waited,
they'd have a better product.
A much better product. Maybe that's the key. I don't know. That one, there's just that artisanal note that just kind of threw me that I just didn't like.
I didn't get that, but I totally agree. For the price, if you line up all the prices, I mean, the fact that, all right, that's 100, but that's a much better whiskey than that was, and that was 80. So, pick your poison.
Again, it goes back to all the ones that are hitting the market in the last year.
Yeah.
They're all roughly $70 to $80.
Yes.
Like the old Ingram.
Yep.
They're
right
in
that
that
same price point.
75, 80. That's the kind of the take on the Jeffersons, but they just go up and down the Mississippi River.
Right.
But you're rolling it out, and it's like,
yeah,
here you go. It's $80.
Yeah, the price of whiskey.
I get a hard time buying that when it's your first bottle out of the gate.
Yeah.
If you drop one that's like a $50 bottle,
yeah.
I would
more likely to try that.
I would roll the dice on that one.
Yeah, I'd try that way
more so than an $80.
It's a way easier
your first
purchase.
one.
Yep.
If it's your second one and I like the first one,
okay.
Then I'm
and it's a higher age or a higher proof or something. Yeah, absolutely. I get
everything ramps up on the second one, then I'm probably more inclined to go ahead and splurge on that one.
I did not get the artisanal on that guy that you did, so I'd slide that in too. But anyway, doesn't matter. The best kind of whiskey is the whiskey you enjoy drinking.
Right, exactly.
So whatever it is, we're just trying to share what we're finding in the different whiskeys that we're able to try.
Overall, again, I love the whole idea now is around kind of the pairing the whiskeys with the food, with different foods, kind of like with wines. I think the guys did a great job.
Yep.
I'm glad they came across that article. It was awesome. We were able to have it outside. It was a nice evening.
It was, yeah.
Around the Russ Woolery's pool.
The Russ Woolery. Yeah. It was a good time. It was a good time. It was a good meeting, and I'm interested to see. I know that sparked some interest in other people on food pairings with the whiskeys. So I could see more meetings going down that path.
So,
and I'm excited for them. I like food. I like whiskey.
Oh, well, that one perfect. It's those whiskeys and
sausage. Exactly.
You can't beat that. So again, overall, awesome theme.
Yes.
That's kind of the thing we're going for now with our meetings is developing a theme instead of a random you buy a whiskey, I buy a whiskey.
Yeah.
So a lot of them lately have been blind, which has been awesome.
That's fun too. That's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we just had one, so one of our next couple one episode or two will be the.
Well, we got blind. We did blind in both September and October.
The official 615 Whiskey Club.
615.
You know, hopefully we got a few guys going to pick up the jackets, but.
Yeah, we'll get down there. We'll do some jackets. We'll have some logos. We'll have some pins.
New logo.
All that kind of fun stuff.
Pin. Yeah, we got it all coming.
It'll all be coming. So
well, we hope you enjoyed this review. Again, it's 4 solid whiskeys. Some maybe overpriced, but we've said that on a number of occasions. So I wouldn't. Again, if you're not willing to splurge on a bottle, if you see it on a menu,
give it a taste.
Give it a taste. Get a 1 ounce pour. Give it a sample. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button at the bottom of the screen for us. We'd love to get a little love down there.
Absolutely. And while you're down there, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell icon, get notified every time we put out a new episode. Let us know if you have an idea for a whiskey club meeting. Well, give me a theme. You got something that you think would be interesting, or a food pairing. Also be interested to hear that. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining.
See you on the next episode.
Cheers.
Cheers.